Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and this is episode 288. I'm Carol. I'm also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, about 60 miles or 100 kilometers east of Vancouver, where it is nice and sunny and not too hot today. Just the way I like it in the summertime. I hope you're all doing well and that you've had a good couple of weeks since we last spoke. I've had a good couple of weeks, but they've been busy and there's lots of things going on, some of which I can talk about and some of which I can't. And so I haven't had a lot of headspace for complicated projects, which you will see with what I show you this week. There's been a lot of simple knitting and a whole bunch of spinning. Before I talk about all of that, I should mention the make-alongs that are taking place in the Ravelry group. We have the year-long chatter thread, Smash the Stash. And speaking of that, I have not yet heard from the winner from the April to June portion of that make-along. So if you did participate during those months and you haven't yet done so, you might want to check out episode 287 to see if you were a winner. And then right now until I guess it's the end of September, there is a sock make-along taking place, Rock Your Socks, in which you can make various types of footwear or accessories, I guess I would say, socks, leg warmers, slippers, and even Christmas stocking if that's something you're interested in. So if you think you might want to take part in either or both of those make-alongs, head over to the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group on Ravelry. Yes, the Ravelry group is on Ravelry. Go figure. Read the first post of each of the pertinent threads, and that'll tell you everything you need to know to participate. Another note, my neighbor has been mowing his lawn. Seems quiet at the moment, but I have closed a couple of windows to help minimize that noise. So if he starts up again, hopefully it won't be too noisy or distracting. Okay, I have a finished project. These beautiful, beautiful socks, which I could not be happier with. These are what I'm calling the wildflower socks. These are my socks for my July personal sock yarn club. At the beginning of the year, I set aside 12 skeins of sock yarn in paper bags and numbered them. Last year I did it randomly. I had my husband put them in, so I didn't know what I was getting each month. This year I did think about which socks I might like to knit in a particular month. So I did number them intentionally, but honestly, or not number them, but write the month, write the name of the month on the bag. But most of them I haven't remembered what I've put in. All that to say, I did intentionally put this wildflower colorway in July's bag because I thought it would be a great one to knit in the summer and would remind me of a couple of hikes that we've taken in the subalpine meadows up at Sun Peaks, British Columbia, where we've gone a few times around this time of year. The yarn is by Gauge Dye Works. It's their classic base, and this is the Wildflowers Round Trip colorway. And as you can see, it's like a gradient colorway. The yarn is dyed in such a way that if you work from both the inside and the outside of the skein, you will achieve more or less identical socks. Let's call them closely related, somewhat fraternal. You can see, for instance, on the foot here that they're not exactly the same, but they're very, very similar. I did a 60 stitch sock this time on a 2mm needle. Usually I do a 64 stitch sock, but I have found in the past with this yarn that they end up just a little bit looser than I like, and I'm happy with that decision. Last time I knit with a similar yarn a few months ago, I did short row heels, but this time I did a traditional heel flap and gusset, and I did a 1x1 twisted rib, and then my usual rounded toe. So why don't I bring one of these in a little bit closer so you can get a look at that gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. I could not be happier with these socks, and I'm definitely looking forward to wearing them in the cooler months. You can see this toe is a little bit brighter than that one. Very pretty yarn. I think this is now the last of my Gauge Dye Works yarn. Pretty sure. So I might have to acquire more at some point because I really, really love both the feel of the yarn and the dyeing techniques, different colorways that they have. So that's project number 1. But that's my only finished project. I do have 2 works in progress. I think I mentioned last episode that after I finished those socks, I would pick up my Chickadee Trail socks. So I think I have shown you this one in the past. I've had this one finished for quite a while. This is yarn from Rose Hill Yarns. Don't know if you can see that very well. There we go. This is their fingering weight, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and there's 463 yards to 100 grams, so a good amount of yarn. And this is the Chickadee Trail colorway. And I cast these on kind of spontaneously one day back in April after hearing the chickadee outside at the feeder. And I love how it's knitting up. So I found some leftover Regia yarn for the heel. So I've done a German short row heel. This is a 64 stitch sock, I'm pretty sure. Isn't it pretty how the yarn's knitting up? And I think last time I showed these to you, I may have just had the cuff done, but I'm happy to say that I finished the heel this morning on the second sock and have done a few rounds since then, literally just a few. I ran out of yarn for the heel, but just ran out, so I had to do one row, or and literally just like work my way back across one time with another yarn. So I've got something in my eye, maybe a little bit of mascara flaking into it. I've got contacts in, so I'll be blinking for a second here as it washes out. Anyway, I had some very similar colored other gray scrap yarn. I don't think you could even tell that I had to use it for the last row of the heel. It's not very noticeable at all. So yeah, happy with those two. Socks, simple things. And I have continued to work on my blanket of cheer, which is a mitered square scrappy blanket using all yarn from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. The bulk of the semi-solid portion of the squares is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works 2022 Holiday Countdown Collection, but some of the other squares are made up of minis or leftovers of minis that I've received in other cases. And then all the stripy sections are leftovers from sock yarn, self-striping sock yarn from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Does that make sense? leftovers from socks I have knit. And in some cases I will wind off some from the skein before I knit the pair of socks, but when it comes down to it, it's all leftovers of self-striping sock yarn. I feel like I've said way more about that than I needed to. So I've done a few new squares since I since I spoke to you last. I think I was working on this one last time I showed you. So as you can see, I've put my border around it, and I had a question about a pattern for this. I don't have a pattern. I was going to, my plan initially was to knit Kay Jones's Stitch in Time blanket, which is made up of 9, each block is made up of 9 mitered squares. That's Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears. So I quickly realized that that wasn't really going to work for what I wanted, and so I departed drastically from it. I used the cast on number for the mitered squares and the basic construction, but then I am slipping each stitch along the edge to make picking up easier, and sort of that's where the resemblance to it ends. I am adding a garter border similar to what she has done, except she's picked up along one square, or one side I should say, knit some garter stitch, picked up another side, etc. I'm picking up around the entire square and doing some increases every second round on the knit rounds before binding off. So it's her blanket was kind of my inspiration, and then I went rogue. I worked on this one, or finished this one. Love this one. Of course, red is my favorite color. And then this is the, it's something to do with songs. Feathers and Tunes. Feathers and Tunes. I think that was a special colorway from a holiday countdown collection one year. This is All That Was Green and Glorious, a St. Patrick's Day inspired colorway. I have knit a couple of other squares that don't yet have borders. This is a leaf pile. And then this one is one of my all-time favorite Fiber Knit Fabrics colorways. The elves were in the eggnog. Whoops, I've got backwards there. With this bright, bright pink. And then I'm currently working on this one, putting the border on it. And this is Apple Turnovers. So the fun part about this blanket is we will have everything from bright fluorescent pink to this subdued autumny warm brown. But I think when it's all put together, I think it'll just be a fun, scrappy blanket. I think I'm getting close to halfway. My intention is to do 63 blocks in the end. And I have just now, I sort of had a bag full of combinations to work on. I have now finished that bag, so I will go ahead, put the borders on these last two, and then I will pull out another bag of combinations that I've put together and start working on those. And I'm kind of methodically now working my way through different bags of combinations that I have sorted out. I was kind of going willy-nilly for a while, and then a little while ago I laid them out on my kitchen table and matched up semi-solids to stripes, so that I had to see how many blocks I could make, and had an idea then of sort of where the end point was going to be. I actually received my last colorway for the blanket since we last spoke, so I will show that to you in a second. I think I need a sip of iced tea first. I love iced tea in the summer. I don't like it like sweet tea. I like it unsweetened iced tea and like homemade. It's really good, really refreshing. I've done a bunch of spinning. I know it's Tour de Fleece, and so if you watch a lot of podcasts, you probably see a lot of podcasters who have been spinning for Tour de Fleece. My intention has not been so much to spin for Tour de Fleece as just to spin because I'm still really new to it and just am enjoying it so much. And in the time that I've had at home, I've been really focusing on it. So last episode, I showed you this gorgeous skein that I had spun from some merino speckle or tweed fiber from Useful Creations, who is a local to me dyer. Sorry, and I bought my spinning wheel, my used spinning wheel from her. I'm sticking to my chair here. That's got shorts on and my legs are sticking to the seat of my wooden chair. Anyway, I showed this to you last episode and I said I wasn't really happy with the plying. And I put a call for help out there with for experienced spinners. Would I ruin it if I put it through the wheel again and plied it again? And thank you to my spinning mentors. I heard back from several people who all concurred that, yeah, you could just go, go ahead, put it back through your wheel. And oh, what a difference it made. So much better. So much better. And I am now itching to knit with this. It's a kind of a gradient of sorts, a 3-ply, and I've been putting it off in part because I wanted you to see the after, because it's so much better than the before. So super happy with that. And so what I did, I had another skein of the same fiber that I had also spun into a 3-ply that I was not happy with. And so I thought, well, let's just try it with that skein too. And again, just great success. It turned out so much better, much more rounded, more even. So yes, thank you to all of you spinning mentors who helped me out. I so appreciate you sharing your knowledge and experience with me, and making me a little bit less fearless too, because I thought, okay, well, if that worked, then it was something for me to take into my next spinning attempt. So way back when, I had showed you that again from Useful Creations, I had bought three braids of blended wool fiber in natural colors. And last episode I showed you that I had spun, I think it was a third of each of them, and I was thinking about putting them together in a 3-ply, and that's exactly what I did. So this one turned out really well. I was very happy with how it spun up. I thought it was quite even, and or when I say spun up, I was happy with the spinning itself, but also happy with the plying. So I liked how that looked, but then I thought it would be fun to then maybe spin the rest of the braids, just divide the rest of each color into 3, spin them up, and then do 3 plies of each of the colors. And so that is what I did. Here's the lightest one. Now this, I wasn't happy with my initial plying. It was very twisty and just didn't look very good. And so I thought, what the heck, it worked on those other skeins. I'm going to run these through and ply them again. And they're much better. You can still see it's a lot of waviness and stuff, but that's partly because when I took it off the Swift, then it kind of sprung back. But pretty happy with that second attempt at plying on that one. So I've got that done. I did use what was left and practiced my chain plying, which is the way you get a 3-ply in a different way. Not, instead of taking 3 strands and plying them together, you have 1 strand and you kind of do like this long crochet chain, and the strands kind of spin up on themselves, and so it's a 3-ply, but it's just a different way of achieving it. And what's really neat about this is if you have a gradient braid, you can 3-ply and end up with a gradient skein. So that's the lightest. And then, excuse the crinkling, I have them in bags. So here's my skein of the medium color. And again, the first time round wasn't really happy with the plying, and so I also put this through the wheel again and ended up with much better results. It's actually pretty well balanced, look at that. And then again, 3-plied, chain plied what was left over. Kind of cleaning up as I go because it makes it really much easier after the fact, and it doesn't take too long. And then this was the darkest one, and this one, it plied up so nicely. I didn't have to run it through again. Look how good that looks. What I did on this one is I held on to it a little bit closer to the orifice, and I think what was happening before is I think and you spinners again can give me some feedback. I was feeding it in and then making quite a long draw, I guess. And I think what was happening as I was doing that, I was almost untwisting some of the plying as I was doing this. So when it finally got on to the bobbin, it wasn't as tightly plied as it should have been. Where this one, I held it closer to the orifice and really made an attempt not to kind of undo that plying, and I'm so happy with how this one turned out. Like it's just really nice. It's a little bit twisted, but not too bad. And just, yeah, I was super happy with this skein. Also, part of the could, again, I know I talked about this last episode, could maybe also do with exactly what the skein's composed of, because like these are all wool blends, but I don't know what kind of sheep, and so I know that this one did not felt as well as the others, so that might have had something to do with it. I don't know. And then I did again chain ply the rest, so I've got lots of these. So here's the finished skeins together, and I am thinking they're not like soft next to skin, they're quite rustic, so I'm thinking about weaving some placemats with these. I think that would be really fun. So stay tuned. Don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but that's sort of what I'm thinking about for those skeins. And I had started the blended wool because I had given up on spinning this Merino Sparkle. I had given it a brief try one evening, and I felt like it was drafting too quickly. It kept coming out of my hands, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And so again, I heard, got some feedback, thank you, that maybe my tension on my brake band was too tight. So I've been fiddling with that, and I picked it up again last night. And initially, I also wasn't enjoying it, and I was gonna put it away, pick up some other fiber, and then I thought, no, you know what, just give it a little more time. And I did, and even though it was still breaking on me sometimes and slipping out of my fingers, I was able to go for much longer stretches, and it's spinning up really thin. Like, I feel like if I were to do a 3-ply, I probably would have somewhere between a fingering and a sport. I might just do, well, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't want to say because I haven't decided. But it's the thinnest spinning I've done yet. And I think that's also a little bit intimidating because I'm worried about it, breaking. Anyway, we'll just see how it goes. It's so pretty, and it's really soft. And yeah, this one, I'm just going to take my time, and it's going to take a long time anyway because it's so thin. But yeah, I think it'll be good for me to just have a little bit more of a challenging spin, because these wools, oh my gosh, they were so easy and enjoyable, and just because they had a lot of stickiness to them, I think really helped. Okay, that's it for spinning. Up and coming. I thought I would open my August Personal Sock Yarn Club yarn, because I will not be recording again before the beginning of the month. So, crinkle, crinkle. I always forget to sort of open it partially beforehand, because I really do want it to be a surprise. And this one, I have no idea what's in here. None whatsoever. So let's find out. Oh, I can feel a plastic, like a Ziploc bag in there. So it's probably yarn that I have wound before. Oh, yes. Speaking of Fiber Nymph Dye Works, that's what's in here. So I have used this colorway for 2 blanket squares already. That's why it's all wound up. This is the Snow Tweed Merino, so you can see white flecks instead of dark flecks. It is 84% merino, so superwash merino, and 16% cotton nylon nep. And this is the Cake Pops colorway. It's a 2-stripe colorway, so it alternates between this chocolate brown and this speckled color. And then I have popped in this yarn to use for at the heels at the very least, maybe heels and toes, maybe cuffs and heels. And I think this is leftover of the mountain tweed from the Lady Cardinal sock set I got as part of the Backyard Birdwatchers Club. I'm pretty sure where that's from. And I only used a little bit of it, I think, for the heels, and so I thought those would go together well. Well, that'll be fun. I always love self-striping socks. What I'll probably do is divide this skein in half and work on 2 concurrently. But I will wait until August 1st to cast them on. So that's always nice to have a project to look forward to. And I know I had all sorts of plans for rock your socks. I had some patterns that I was planning to work on, like new cast-ons, and then some old ones I want to finish up. I haven't touched any of them. That's going to remain to be seen. See what sort of unfolds over the next couple months. But one thing I do want to do is, as I mentioned, I want to knit with some of my hand spun. I picked up this skein of Cascade 220 Superwash Merino from my local yarn shop, and it's color 82. So it's like a dark charcoal. They were out of black. And my initial thought was to pair these two and do some sort of two-color project. For instance, perhaps like the, is it Shifty? That is the cowl by Andrea Mowry. Or there's the Shift Shawl or Night Shift. I can't remember. They all have shift in their name. That was one thing I was considering with this. But I also then, as I was looking at Andrea Mowry patterns, I came across this terrible photocopy because my photocopier or my printer needs, it's a terrible copy because my printer needs some ink. But there's this Traveler cowl. I think you can see through the streaky lines. And I thought that would be a great cowl for hand spun. This one does have some color changes in it. And the nice thing about this pattern is you can knit it in any weight of yarn, and there are dimensions given for each section so that you can kind of knit it to suit your yarn and your size. And so I'm not sure if I'll use it for that, or I have some other hand spun that I've already done in the past, but I thought that was just a great pattern, so I bought that one right away. So I thought it would look good in this, but I still really like the idea of combining this with some dark yarn to, you know, create this gradient. So I don't know, lots of things up in the air. Haven't made the decision on that, but those are a couple of upcoming projects anyway. As I mentioned, I did receive some yarn from Fiber Nymph Dyeworks, so hang on. And I will show you. So again, crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. I'm just gonna very gently. I do believe I mentioned last episode that I had ordered a skein of her, of Lisa, the proprietor of Fiber Nymph Dyeworks. It's her 25th, no, it's not her 25th anniversary. It's her 2024 anniversary colorway called A Legacy. So this is the bounce base. And these are colors that are inspired by an Afghan that was made by her grandmother. And you can often see it when she sits in her porch room to do her podcast. You can see it in the background. And I requested a matching mini to go with, to do heels and toes, but I also got a second mini that will match. So I will do blanket squares with those. So I'll do one blanket square with the blue and one blanket square with the eggplant, and I'll pick up, you know, areas in the yarn that will complement these two colors. So these are going to make up the 62nd and 63rd square of my blanket. And then I also picked up one of the stitch markers / progress keepers that Lisa had put out to go with her colorway. And this one is Family Tree. I just thought that was so pretty. Hopefully you can see it. Is it better against the white card. See, I'm gonna try and catch the light just right. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, I thought that was really pretty, like a tree of life type of design. And then I also ordered this sock set. This is the Mountain Tweed BFL base, and this is called Midwinter. I just really loved the colors in that. So that is it for acquisitions. I'd better move this because it's covering up my notes. Whoops. A big mess around me here now, in the best sort of way. Okay, life. Last time I spoke to you, I told you that I was going to be heading up later that week, up to where my mom lives, and help her along with some other family members with a garage sale. So I went up on Thursday morning with one of my sisters, and we met up with another sister and my mom at her place, and my brother-in-law. And us three girls started going through certain boxes that my mom had asked us to sort. She had done quite a bit of work herself, and there were a bunch of boxes left, and she said just go through, decide what's free, what's for the loony table, what's for the toonie table, and then anything else you think is worth more, put higher prices on them, and then ditch whatever you think is garbage. And we all thought that we would be working both Thursday afternoon and Friday to get ready for this garage sale, but as it turned out, we finished that whole sorting process Thursday afternoon. And then that evening, my husband and our younger son and his girlfriend came up together. And so we had all day Friday just at the cabin, which is about 17 kilometers from where my mom's place is. And so yeah, we had all day Friday just to hang out, which was awesome. And then we went in early Saturday morning, got everything set up for the sale. My mom is very good at organizing these types of things, so she already had it in her mind where she wanted tables set up and how she wanted things to be divided, mainly by price. And that didn't take long either. It was pretty successful. And early on into the sale, a woman who lives down the street approached my mom, and she volunteers for a charitable organization, and she said, whatever you don't sell, I would be happy to take for this charity shop. And my mom said, fantastic, because that saved us disposing of it, because her mindset was, I just want to get rid of it. She wasn't so much worried about how much money she would make. She just wanted it out of her garage. She's been, over the years, either people have given her things to then give away, or she's gathered things of her own. So we finished about 2 o'clock. This lady showed up with her truck, loaded her up. There were a few other things we left she was going to pick up later. And that was that. I think we were gone back to, I think we took some time to have a little break and a drink, and then we headed back to the cabins like late afternoon. And my mom came back with us and stayed overnight with us. So yeah, it was very successful. It was a really good weekend. Many hands really do make light work. It was very hot. Thankfully, there was a breeze that day, and we had shade for part of the time, so we kind of took turns heading out into the sunshine, and all of us, of course, slathered ourselves with sunscreen and that, but it just is a really great thing. It's done. doesn't have to be done again. And I know it's a big load off my mom's mind, and in the future, should she move somewhere else, you know, that job just became that much easier. So very good weekend and great sense of accomplishment. This past weekend on, what do we even do? You know, I don't know. I find the days are just flying by, and sometimes just to think about what we've even done. On Sunday, I know what we did on Sunday. We went downtown Chilliwack, where I live. It was Pride, and our youngest granddaughter was skating, promoting roller derby, which she's a part of, and so our daughter was volunteering at the booth, and our granddaughter was skating around. So we went down to check that out, and she showed us around. There's lots of different booths, food and crafts and different things, some shows, really good atmosphere. And then earlier that morning, our younger son had asked what we were up to. His girlfriend's parents were in town and wondered if we wanted to get together. So after we went to Pride, we headed down to a garden center that has a restaurant attached to it, and had lunch with the four of them, and that was really nice too. So a good Sunday, and then we came back here and just chilled for the rest of the day. It has been very hot, and so I think what I did last week was a lot of not very much, because it was just too hot. I know I've been working on the gardens and stuff, trying to catch up with some neglect. So I've been doing some gardening and things like that, knitting and spinning, obviously. But yeah, the weather's cooled down a little. We finished the regular ball season last Wednesday, and since the mid-season tournament, my husband's team played, well, all the different teams played the different teams in their division, and my husband's team ended up first in their division with a win on Wednesday night. And then the year-end tournament will be taking place this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to host a team barbecue Saturday evening for after the games. So it should be another busy but fun weekend. Let me just look. And then besides that, this week and next week, I am looking after our younger granddaughter 3 days each week. So she was here yesterday. I've got her Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. And then the childcare is looked after that until I think the last week in August, and I'll be looking after her again. So I had a lot of housework to do yesterday because it was sorely neglected. It was just too hot to be running a vacuum cleaner and all that. So she just kind of chilled yesterday while I was doing my thing, but I promised her tomorrow we could do more things together, because my house is quite a bit tidier now, and I can feel like I can, you know, do you ever find that when your house is just a mess? Like you can't do anything. And now I actually spent some time this morning cleaning up my craft room. That's almost done. And I'm just trying to tackle a room each day, or in yesterday's case, a couple of rooms, the main rooms. So feeling good about that too. I'm just trying to get to each room and do a thorough tidy up this summer. So okay, something good. I have two good things. Today, as one of my sisters put it, is my 39th anniversary of becoming a mother. I hadn't thought of it quite that way. I thought of it as, it's our daughter's birthday today. 39th birthday. So sometimes she watches, sometimes she doesn't. So if you're watching, happy birthday again. And then we have a new member in our extended family. I had a great nephew born last week. So I'm wishing his parents well, and can't wait to meet him. I need to get cracking on a baby gift, which will most likely be a quilt. I did a quilt for his sister, so I figure I should probably do another quilt. I have another sister who is back east visiting their new grandson, and they took the quilt that I made for him. I just heard back maybe an hour ago that his parents loved it, and apparently it had like a woodland theme. I think I might have a photo. If I do, I'll put it in here. I made it quite a long time ago, and apparently it kind of matches the theme of his room. His mom thought maybe I was psychic or something, so they're really happy with it. And then my sister also said that the quilt that I made for his brother is hanging on the wall in his room, and that they've done some decorating, picking out some of the colors from it. So that's cool. Made me feel good as a maker. All right, that is it for today. So as far as I know, you can look for another episode in a couple of weeks, but there's a little bit of uncertainty around that, so I don't want to promise. I will get out another episode when I can, and I will try to have, I'd like to work on some more intricate projects between now and then. We'll see. We'll see where life takes me. I can't say too much. There's just stuff going on, and I don't mean to be vague, but I have to be. I'm sure you understand that, life is not just about crafting, that there are other things going on, and sometimes you can talk about them and sometimes you can't. So we'll just see where life takes me in the next few weeks, and I hope to talk to you then in a couple of weeks. So take care until then. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I hope to see you soon. Bye now.